Hello, friends. Welcome to Storycraft. On this channel, you will enjoy world-top stories. Let's view the video. Gilgamesh, the epic of the world's first hero, the birth of a legend. Gilgamesh, king of Uruk. The ancient city of Uruk, one of the world's first great civilizations, a king was born who would become a legend for all time. His name was Gilgamesh. Half god, half man, Gilgamesh was unlike any ruler before him, stronger, smarter, and more powerful. But his greatness came with a price. From the moment he took the throne, Gilgamesh was both feared and admired. His strength was unmatched, and his courage was beyond all limits. But his rule was harsh. He pushed his people hard, demanding labor on great building projects and asserting his power without mercy. The citizens of Uruk admired his achievements but feared his temper and cruelty. The gods, watching from above, grew concerned. How could a king so powerful cause such fear and suffering? To balance the scales, they decided Gilgamesh needed a companion, someone who could challenge him, soften his heart, and teach him the meaning of friendship. But before that, Gilgamesh set out to build his legacy. He ordered the construction of mighty city walls so strong and vast that they would protect Uruk for centuries. These walls weren't just stones and mortar. They symbolized Gilgamesh's ambition to become immortal through his deeds. At the same time, tales about Gilgamesh's extraordinary abilities spread far and wide. Stories told of his strength, lifting lions barehanded, wrestling mighty beasts, and even outwitting his enemies with his clever mind. People whispered that he was part divine, born of the goddess Ninsun and the mortal king Lugalbanda. This divine bloodline made Gilgamesh more than a man. He was destined for greatness. Yet despite his power, Gilgamesh was restless. His heart longed for meaning beyond conquest and fame. Deep inside, he was searching for something that even a king could not buy or conquer. True friendship, and perhaps a way to escape death itself. The stage was set for a journey that would change Gilgamesh forever. But first, the gods prepared a challenge that would alter his fate, and the fate of the entire world. The wild man Enkidu, friend, and rival to humble Gilgamesh and teach him about companionship, the gods created Enkidu, a wild man born of the wilderness itself. Enkidu was strong, free, and wild, living among the animals and the untamed lands outside Uruk. His hair was thick with dirt, his body covered in fur, and his strength rivaled even Gilgamesh's. Enkidu represented the natural world, pure, untamed, and untouched by civilization. He ran with the gazelles, drank from the rivers, and lived free from the rules and restrictions that bound city dwellers. The animals saw him as one of their own, and he was a force of nature. But as Enkidu roamed near Uruk, his path was destined to cross with Gilgamesh's. When Gilgamesh heard about this wild man, he saw a threat, someone who could challenge his authority. The two were destined to clash. Before that could happen, a clever trap was set. A temple prostitute named Shamhat was sent to tame Enkidu by introducing him to civilization. She taught him how to eat bread, wear clothes, and speak the language of men. Enkidu slowly changed, from a wild beast into a man aware of society's rules. Yet this transformation came at a cost. The animals that once accepted Enkidu now shunned him. He was no longer one of the wild, but a stranger in both worlds. When Enkidu arrived in Uruk, he met Gilgamesh. Their first meeting was fierce, a battle of strength and wills. They wrestled with the force of gods, shaking the earth beneath them, but neither could overpower the other. In that struggle, something remarkable happened. Respect was born. From rivals, Gilgamesh and Enkidu became brothers in arms, best friends bound by loyalty and courage. Together, they would face dangers that no one else dared challenge. Enkidu's friendship changed Gilgamesh. For the first time, the mighty king found someone who could match him, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Enkidu softened Gilgamesh's harshness, and in return, Gilgamesh introduced Enkidu to the wonders of civilization. Together, they were unstoppable, the perfect balance of wild nature and human ambition. But this friendship was only the beginning of a legendary adventure that would echo through history. The journey to the cedar forest, facing the monster Humbaba Gilgamesh and Enkidu, now bound by brotherhood, decided to prove their strength by undertaking a dangerous quest to the mysterious cedar forest. This was no ordinary forest. It was sacred, guarded by Humbaba, a terrifying monster appointed by the gods themselves to protect the ancient trees from any intruders. The cedar trees were legendary, tall and majestic, their wood precious and powerful. For Gilgamesh, cutting down these trees was more than about wealth or power. It was about proving his courage and leaving a mark on history. But the gods had warned, Humbaba was a creature of great fury and destruction. Undeterred, Gilgamesh and Enkidu set off on their journey, facing wild landscapes filled with unknown dangers. The forest was thick and dark, filled with eerie sounds and shadowy shapes. Each step closer to Humbaba's lair raised the tension. When they finally encountered Humbaba, the monster was even more terrifying than tales suggested. His roar shook the earth, and his face was a nightmare of terror. Humbaba used the forest itself as a weapon, summoning winds and crushing trees to defend his realm. But Gilgamesh and Enkidu fought with unmatched bravery and skill. The battle was fierce, a clash of raw power and relentless will. Gilgamesh's strength and Enkidu's wild instincts combined to challenge the god-appointed guardian. At last, they defeated Humbaba, cutting down the sacred cedar trees. But this victory came with consequences. The gods were angered by the destruction of their sacred forest and warned that Gilgamesh and Enkidu's actions would bring trouble. Still, their victory cemented their fame as heroes willing to challenge gods and monsters alike. The tale of Humbaba's defeat echoed across the lands, making Gilgamesh's legend grow even larger. The death of Enkidu, Gilgamesh's grief and quest, the triumph over Humbaba was bittersweet. Soon after their return, Enkidu fell gravely ill, a punishment from the gods for their rebellion. Despite all the healers and prayers, Enkidu's health declined, and the mighty wild man lay dying. Gilgamesh was devastated. His closest companion, his equal and brother, was slipping away. The king, once proud and fearless, was overwhelmed by grief and fear. For the first time, he faced a truth no power could conquer: death. In his sorrow, Gilgamesh cursed the gods and the cruel fate that had taken Enkidu from him. He mourned not just the loss of his friend, but the realization that immortality was beyond reach. Enkidu's death marked a turning point in Gilgamesh's life. From a conqueror seeking glory to a man haunted by mortality. The loss fueled a desperate determination. Gilgamesh refused to accept death as the final word. He resolved to seek out Utnapishtim, the only man granted immortality by the gods. His journey would take him beyond the known world, into realms of mystery and danger. Gilgamesh's quest was no longer about fame. It was a search for eternal life, a battle against the inevitable fate all humans share. The pain of losing, Enkidu opened a new chapter in his story, one filled with deep questions about life, death, and what lies beyond. The search for immortality. Meeting Utnapishtim, Gilgamesh's journey led him far beyond Uruk, across deserts and mountains, to the edge of the world where Utnapishtim lived, a man who had survived the great flood and was granted eternal life by the gods. Utnapishtim's story was incredible, a flood that wiped out humanity, a divine warning, and a chance at immortality reserved for the chosen. Gilgamesh listened carefully, desperate for any secret to escape death. But Utnapishtim revealed a harsh truth. Immortality was not meant for mortals. Even the gods had limits. Yet, he offered Gilgamesh a test to prove his worth. Stay awake. For 6 days and 7 nights. Gilgamesh tried, but failed. Though he returned to Uruk without eternal life, Gilgamesh was transformed. He understood that immortality wasn't about living forever, but about the legacy we leave behind, the stories, the walls, and the lives touched by our deeds. Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, wiser and humbled, ready to be remembered not just as a powerful king, but as the world's first true hero. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel Storycraft for more interesting videos.